Good morning. I hope you're having a great Thursday. Back with the Friendship War. We're going to see what happens. We left off in the middle of a chapter yesterday. And Hank had just figured out that Grace had scattered her buttons all over the playground. No way! Some of these are worth a fortune. These bright red and yellow bacolites, one of these would sell for $10. And you've got a dozen. And they're still on the original store display card. 5 or 6 boxes later, Ben shows up in my doorway. Hank, long time no see. So, did Grace make you take the oath of silence about not telling anyone that she's a crackpot button hoarder? Hank looks lost. He shakes his head. Very funny, Ben. You can go now. Because she made me swear that I wouldn't tell a soul. You must be a very special young man. Mom, Ben's bothering us. She calls up the stairs. Ben, come here, please. Coming, Mother. Ben grins at us. Well, you two have fun, all right? I'm blushing 9 shades of pink, but Hank doesn't seem to notice. He's already deep into a fresh box of brilliant blue celluloid buttons, comparing all the different sizes. After the last box is open, Hank leans back against the end of my bed, his legs long stretched out straight on the floor. Woo! Your grandfather sent all of these from Massachusetts? Yep, they arrived the first week of school on a big wooden pallet. He's quiet for a moment and then says, I know Ben was teasing, but does anyone else know that you've got all of these? Me, Grandpa, Mom and Dad, Ben, and now you. That's it. Well, you're not a crackpot. If Ben had any idea how much money these are worth, he wouldn't be making fun of you. Yeah, until you told me I didn't know they were worth anything. I just wanted them, just to have. So I might be a little goofy after all. But the buttons fit right in with all of your other stuff. I mean, everything you have. It's all really interesting. He gets to his feet. I should put all these boxes away now. I told my mom I'd be home by 4. That's all right. I'll shove them under the bed later. And while everything's out, go ahead and take whatever you want for your collection. Oh, I couldn't do that, but thanks for the offer. I'm serious, take some. There's a plastic bag right there on my dresser. He goes to the dresser and finds the bag, and then he stops and picks up something else. This is that pinwheel button? What happened? I shrug. It broke. He's got the 3 pieces up close, studying them. They didn't just break. I can see marks on them, like they got jammed into a crack and then bent sideways or maybe hit with something. This is tough material, so it took a lot more force to snap pieces like this. He looks at me, questions in his eyes. I don't want to explain, but I don't want to lie to him at all. So I take a deep breath and tell him everything. Me giving the button back to Brooke, her trading it for the new bracelet, and then me getting the button from Ellie again broken. But then me getting the new bracelet from Brooke for revenge. And there on the dresser, that folded paper, that's the little handmade envelope Ellie used to return it. He picks it up and reads the notes and put it back. And now you and Ellie are at war. Yeah. And you're so sick of buttons? Yes. This explains a lot. Thanks for telling me. Except I don't want to be at war with Ellie. He smiles at me. Yeah, I knew that. You did? Well, yeah. I can't think of what to say next. He puts the plastic bag on my dresser. Listen, I'll get some of these buttons later. I've really got to leave now. Okay. I follow him down the staircase and outside to the front porch. Thanks again, he says, for asking me to come over. You're welcome. I'll see you tomorrow. Yep, tomorrow. I watch him pedal away, a little tall, a little awkward, his helmet perched on his head. And as much as I don't want to be at war with Ellie anymore, if all these problems and all this drama are the price I need to pay to get to know Hank better, then I don't have any regrets. Not one. Chapter 24, Courage. I'm setting up the kitchen table before dinner when Dad comes in with a box under his arm. The UPS driver just left this out front. It's addressed to you and your mother. He hands me a package about the size of a shoebox. It's from Grandpa, Ben says. Here's a wild guess. More buttons. And I know that Ben is right. Mom moves the salad bowl off the counter. Put it here! She's more excited than I am, and the knife she uses to split the tape still has juice on it from cutting tomatoes. Oh yeah, just like I said, more buttons. Ben is so pleased with himself. I have to resist telling him he's sort of been acting like a jerk today. but I can't resist a different comment. Yes, you're a genius for predicting the contents of a package, a lot better than you are predicting the effects of adjusting supply and demand. Like with that thing you told me to do. I never told you to do anything. What did Ben tell you to do? Dad seems very interested. Oh, nothing. I'm just teasing, right, Ben? Yeah, you're hilarious. Inside the box are 2 envelopes laid on top of the buttons, one addressed to each of us. Mom opens hers and begins reading out loud. I can see Grandpa's handwriting on the cream-colored notebook paper. Dear Carolyn, after getting some gentle prompting from Grace, I've begun sorting through your mother's upstairs sitting room and study. These buttons were with her sewing things. They reach back several generations, and you'll probably be able to spot a few from your old clothes. If you have any questions about any of the other buttons, I'm sure Grace can teach you all that you need to know. Over the next few months, I'll be sending along a few things that you might want to keep. All the rest will be going to a local charity, where I hope they'll do some good. This process was hard for me to begin, but now that I'm well into it, I'm finding so many happy memories, especially of the years when you and your brother shared this home with us. Thanks for being such a wonderful daughter, and I hope we can get together this fall or winter. With all my love, Dad. Mom's voice is shaky as she finishes, and she has to brush away a tear, but that just makes herself smile. Such a sweet, sweet man. So let's hear your letter, Grace. But I don't want to get emotional in front of everyone, and I probably would. I'd rather open it later. Is that okay? Sure, that's fine. After dinner in the kitchen cleanup, I've got Grandma's buttons upstairs laid out across my bedspread. Grandpa was right. They go back to the 1800s. I spot 5 or 6 bone buttons right away, plus dozens of shoe buttons, a category we had to add when Hank and I were sorting our thrift store collection. A shoe button looks sort of like a small pea that's sliced in half, with a rounded top and a flat back. Shoe buttons are usually black, with a little wire loop on the back side. Interesting, but I've seen plenty of buttons recently. What I really need right now is words. As I begin reading the letter, I hear Grandpa's voice, strong, clear, and kind. Dear Grace, well, I finally found the courage to go through your grandmother's thing. Courage might sound like a strange word to choose, but being here in the world on my own again is a new experience, and sometimes it can feel a little scary. However, I'm finding that new experiences seem to be exactly what I need. Speaking of newness, our mill building is looking less and less graveyard every day. The outside brick has been sandblasted clean. A crew of masons is making sure the walls are sound and weatherproof, and some of the new windows have already been installed. I'll text pictures soon. I hope that sometime you'll tell me a little bit more about your friend Hank. How's that going? I also hope that you and the unforgettable Miss Emerson have gotten back into common ground. From my brief time meeting her, I can guess she's not always an easy person to be with. But sometimes friends who make demands on us are ones worth keeping, and sometimes they're also the ones who most need a true friend. You'll know what's best. As I'm sure you can understand, a grandmother is not allowed to pick a favorite grandchildren, but I know for certain that you have a very special place in your grandmother Marjorie's heart, just as you do in mine, and that will never change. Our time together was the best of my summer, and I can't wait till you're back for the grand reopening of Berman Mills. Keep your suitcase handy. With all my love, Grandpa. I cried at the funeral last summer, but this feels different. I'm crying now because I love Grandpa, and I'm crying because Grandma would be disappointed in me, and I'm crying because both of them would tell me that I'm mean to Ellie. And I have. Trying to end the fad? Totally selfish. Everyone else is having fun, and Ellie's being creative. And kids are making things and learning all kinds of stuff. And what am I doing? I'm acting mean and selfish and spoiled. Everything I've accused Ellie of being. And I'm also crying because Hank was so sweet this afternoon. He knew that I don't want to be at war with Ellie anymore. He knew that. The tears have made little splashes on Grandpa's letter, and I finally stop. But I don't stop thinking, because unless I do something, the tears will be a lie, like making a promise and not keeping it. So I put Grandma's buttons back into their box. Then I do my homework, still thinking. I hug my mom when she comes to say goodnight, a long hug. And I keep thinking and thinking. And by the time I begin to fall asleep, I know what I need to do. All right, we'll start the next one. Chapter 25, it's called Melting. Ellie's face looks like she might shove me off the sidewalk, or worse. So I say it again, as sincerely as I can. We really need to talk, please? Fine. She's cold and suspicious, but I was expecting that. I also knew we wouldn't be able to talk it out here with all of the buses arriving. Let's go inside the library, okay? Whatever. I picked the library because we will have to be quiet in there. Less chance we might start yelling at each other. I hold the door open and Ellie walks in and then turns right. So far, so good. As I can see the stiffness in each step, impatience in every gesture, Ellie's looking for a fight. And even though I tried to prepare for this logically, I know that this isn't like solving a math problem. It's more like untangling a knot, or maybe melting an iceberg. Inside the library, I walk to a table way in the back, and Ellie follows and sits down across from me. What do you want? It's a sharp challenge, but I don't react. I keep my plan. First, I want to say something about this, and I open my hand to show her pieces of the broken pinwheel button. When I pushed my way into the middle of your trade with Brooke, that was totally wrong and selfish, and I'm sorry that I did it, and I hope that someday you'll forgive me. Ellie starts to say something, but I quickly pull a brown envelope out of my backpack and empty it on the table between us. 18 bracelets, 3 necklaces, and 2 anklets, all made by you. I knew you had some of these, but I didn't know it was so many. Why were you? Because I was mad at you for breaking the pinwheel button and for not letting me sit with you at lunch. I still don't see. I was going to smash all the buttons with the hammer and cut all the ribbons into bits and then give the pieces back to you to get even. Really? You were going to do that? Yes, until I saw this whole mess was actually my own fault. Well, I did break the pinwheel, and I sent it back with that note, which was super mean of me. Yeah, but yesterday when I thought about how mad you had to be to break the button that way, and that I had gotten you that upset, I felt bad for you, and then it made me cry. I'm really sorry I made you so angry. Ellie shakes her head, but I'm the one who makes everybody mad, because I show off too much. Don't you think that's true, that I show off too much? Well, maybe sometimes, but you do have a lot of very cool stuff. And if I had as many beautiful things as you do, I might have trouble not showing off too. You? Ellie gives me a smile, the kind that melts an iceberg. No way, that's not like you, it's not. And that's how I want to be. I feel a lump in my throat, but I don't want to start blubbering. It's good that the first bell rings. We pick up our things and head for the hallway, and it feels like the struggles of the past week never happened. But of course they did. And because they did, I don't think Ellie and I have ever been better friends than we are right now. Walking together toward homeroom feels like the most natural thing in the world. So, at lunch today, do you maybe want to come over and sit with me and Hank? Ellie smiles again, playful this time. I've noticed you and Hank. I don't answer, but just kind of lean her way so that our shoulders bump, and then we both burst out laughing. Right before we got to the room, she says, "So what are you going to do with all my bracelets and stuff?" "I'm going to try to remember who I got them from and give them back for free." See, that's what I mean about you. I think I would have used them for trading all over again. Oh, I thought about that, believe me. Kids really love these things. But I've got enough buttons to last a lifetime. I'm kind of tired of them. Yeah, I get that. But do you have any like this yet? And she pulls a brilliant red and white button out of her pocket and hands it to me. It's vintage celluloid, and the 2 colors are swirled to look like an old-fashioned peppermint lollipop. And then Ellie says, "Oops, see, I'm showing off again, I can't help it." Actually, this button, it started out as mine, and I've got tons more like it, some even prettier. This is the kind of button I've been trading with. What do you mean? I mean, the way I got kids to give me all of your bracelets and necklaces was by trading buttons just like this. Ellie pulls 6 other buttons from her pockets. And these? I look and then nod, all except that big green one, started out belonging to me. All right, we are going to stop here, but we'll be back tomorrow to continue with the friendship war. Have a great Thursday.